friends are like old memories. They always remind you of your past, and we are reminding ourselves of the past episodes from this week of Good Company for the best of Good Company with me, Hollie Taylor. It's Hollie Taylor, and a good story. It has a happy ending, but definitely started out really scary for a Massachusetts community. They are in the town of Avon, and one of their dementia patients went missing. So, of course, the family worried about where this person is. But the good news is that the police had a very important partner. The partner's name, Cruiser. Cruiser is a golden retriever, which is a breed of dog that also is a great service dog, a police dog, more so for their basic skills of being able to help retrieve things, and in this case, retrieving a person. Now, Cruiser has been very good at finding people, so they did find the person with dementia, and previously, just a couple months ago, found 2 runaway children in the woods. So Cruiser is a master at his job, and his reward that keeps him going, hamburgers. He loves himself a hamburger. So a beautiful story of someone being found, thank goodness, because losing people or them getting, like my kids sometimes just, they go hide and you're like, where are you? It's scary. My heart honestly leaps out of my chest. And now that I'm a parent, I know exactly how my mom felt. I would have been 2 or 3, and I ran away from her at West Edmonton Mall. When she found me, I got the biggest spanking ever. I was having the time of my life, allegedly. They were giving me candy, allegedly. I don't remember any of this. My mom likes to share this story a lot. And yeah, she was like, nope, you are not being rewarded for running away from me. I never ran away again. But I'm curious, has there been something really important to you that got lost and you found it? Text in 905-338-1250. It's Hollie Taylor, and today's National Name Your Car Day. Does your car have a name? I had a Ford Probe. It was a 1989 gray Ford Probe. It was my very first car that I'd ever purchased with my own money, and I called it the Probulator. Besides, most of your friends were guys. It wasn't the girly name. It was the Probulator. So I don't know. Hopefully you have maybe a bit more of a normal name for your car if your car does, in fact, have a name. I think that was one of the last cars I ever named, because then I got so attached to that one. Anything else just didn't seem to be nameable. It was just too painful. I know, it's weird, but have you named a car ever? I'm looking for those unique car names at 905-338-1250. I'm Hollie Taylor, and this might seem like an obvious statement, but living with purpose may actually protect your brain from dementia. This is a huge study, but it completely makes sense. I had a conversation with my aunt before she passed, and she was saying how when her husband, so my uncle, retired, they did not call it a retirement, they called it a refirement. So kind of ushering him into like this new chapter of life and celebrating like it's a beginning and not an end, because often after a few years of people retiring, they pass on. Sometimes they feel like they don't have a sense of purpose. Sometimes people who used to be in their life all the time, well, they don't stay in contact with them as well. So it's just interesting to see, again, back to perspective. So if you can have purpose and live your life with intent, can actually make you live longer and reduce the risk of dementia. So these, of course, are new studies. Dementia, I feel like, maybe we're just getting more research in on it and we recognize it's happening to a lot of people who are seniors. So it might just be awareness, but I feel like now more than ever, people are struggling with dementia. I've heard so many people just, it's so painful, honestly, because a lot of memories back to when my grandmother was dealing with it. And it's like you lose that family member before you lose that family member. And so living with purpose, which is why grandkids are a huge blessing. It gives grandparents often a sense of purpose. So that's relationships, caring for family, Volunteering or doing some kind of work can also be a way of living with purpose. Your faith can give you a sense of purpose, so getting involved with your church, volunteering, and being a part of that circle of friends can really help you. Personal goals, so getting some hobbies, learning some new skills. And then I mentioned already about helping others, so acts of kindness, philanthropy, caregiving, advocacy work. All of these can help prevent and delay the onset of cognitive decline. So there's lots of things that we can do about getting a little intentional of having a purpose-filled life, which, as you know, some books that you probably have read throughout your days. Rick Warren has a book all about that and finding your purpose rooted in Christ. So what are some of those things that you are being purposeful about? 905-338-1250. I can't wait to hear your stories about how you're being intentional with your days. Hollie Taylor, and maybe this weekend, wherever you are, will happen to be going on a hike. There are some beautiful trails across the province, but let's focus in right now on Mississauga trails, because why not? If you know some in Oakville or Burlington that are great, let me know. But here are 5 to enjoy. A short drive, but you can go to Cooksville Creek Trail. You can go to Sawmill Creek Trail. That's a beautiful one. Have you been to the UTM, so the University of Toronto, Mississauga Nature Trail? I actually took my kids there a couple of years ago. I used to try to get the fall photos there, which now no longer happen because they're getting older. They're onto my ways. But it's beautiful there. There's even this little bridge over just a little bit of a stream. It's so cute. Another one is the Riverwood Conservancy and the Rattray Marsh. I hope I'm saying that one right. Essentially, Rattray Marsh. Rattray Marsh? You know what? We're going to go with it. If you know how to say it properly, let me know. But these are 5 for you to enjoy. They are the best hiking spots in Mississauga. What about the ones in Oakville? How about Milton? Anything in there? Let us know. Time for a feel-good story today. I love this. My dad, actually, and stepmom just came back from South Africa. They actually got a chance to go on an African safari. Not just, in southern Alberta, the African lion safari, but they actually got to see some incredible beasts, animals in a natural habitat. And so when I saw the story, I had to share with you because you know what? This is an experience not everyone gets to have, including the locals in these communities. And so Gina and her friend Marina were going on a safari in Cape Town area, South Africa. And so while they were there, the driver came and took them to their meetup point for them to go on the safari, and he was going to wait for them. During their commute, though, he had unveiled that, he'd never been on a safari before. He just takes people and they say it's great. And yeah, he sure it is, but he's just something he could never do. And so they wanted to surprise him. So they actually bought him a ticket so he could go with them and enjoy a safari instead of just waiting in the vehicle for them to be done. So this was a huge moment for him. He was so happy. And he says that the best part of the day for him was when he got to see the lions and took a picture of them. So love that they just saw, just someone doing their job and wanted to bless him in this kind of really wonderful way, getting an experience of a lifetime. You're listening to Joy Radio wherever you are. I'm Hollie Taylor, and there is such an incredible power in your story. Sometimes we can feel like our story isn't good enough to share. Our story isn't one that would be jaw-dropping and, win millions to Christ. But everybody's story is important. And there are now more and more people learning English in South Korea to share their stories. These are refugees from North Korea, and there's a U.S.-founded organization that's helping them to try to deal with some of the intense emotional burden that they carry. And sharing their stories can not only be therapeutic, but it can also be a way of creating greater understanding amongst people. So it's the Freedom Speakers International, and these refugees from North Korea are learning how to speak English and, more importantly, learning how to public speak. This is something a lot of people are very nervous about. In fact, I'm thinking, if I remember correctly, it is one of the most and greatest fears that people have is public speaking. And so to date, they have had 600 North Korean refugees studying English, learning about public speaking, and learning more about career development around the very cities. So a beautiful organization that indeed is doing very good work in helping to spread the stories that are otherwise not being shared. So yeah, love this. Hopefully one day we'll get to hear some of their stories, but definitely something to look into, as some of these stories even being turned into books. So it's incredible, and their stories are ones of just heroes, and they've been through so much. So I'm so glad that there's platforms helping them to express that. Well, that's a wrap. Those are our favorite memories from this past week. Join me for more Good Company live every weekday from 4:30 till 6 p.m. here on Joy Radio. Oh, and don't forget, you can also catch up by subscribing to our Joy Radio podcast. If you'd like to join in on the conversation, text 905-338-1250. Thanks for listening. We'll see you on Monday.